Change your CB to other shortwave frequencies of 40 meters and more. Here the changing transistors have fun and achieve good and better range. Change your CB for shortwave 7 MHz, and on the other hand we recommend real-time and X99 readings, and so you will see where the future and the past are located, physically talking. And they can get their books in the best bookstores as it appears and is advertised here, at the addresses, or failing that they can access the book in the best libraries. See how to change your portable CB for 40 meters 7 MHz, and now see how to change your portable CB to 14 MHz and more. See how get a greater distance and that it reaches about 30 miles, that is, how to make it reach 100 miles, and from about 1 mile they will reach 100 miles, since when modifying them at 40 meters the range distance is changed. See how to change your CB to change them so that they reach a greater distance by modifying their internal circuits, and instead of reaching 2 kilometers, CB and mobiles will reach 15 kilometers, twice as much. First you have to disassemble the radio and remove the parts that it will replace, and if you change all the fence, which is the most advisable since the proper tuning is never left well and you have to. So first we have to manage to design a diagram that matches the equipment in question, and that diagram is card design, and then we can assemble it in copper electronic cards based on ferrous acid scanning and ink cards. For the factory card ordered is the one that we have in this equipment, and even that the measurements were for the TRC-217, we printed them on the TRC-206, and thus we modified it experimentally for your approval, being an American dream to achieve more distance with a CB, which we will also explain in later videos how to change them from their same circuits by changing certain things to their electronic cards, both for more distance and for other frequencies from 27 MHz to 14 MHz and 7 MHz. Of course we would not obtain the same results in the slings short and SS 7 MHz and 14 MHz, but if they would work and would stop being CD and would be portable HF, which for that matter today has more people and fans. Of course all these videos are for distance and educational experimentation, and you only have to have an HF permit, or you have to be experimental to learn radio, and from hobby, since for commercial purposes you would have to obtain other permits. All these videos are educational and experimental. Hereby we will give you all the ways to change your portable CB communicator radio to 40-meter bands at 7 MHz, and we are going to make modifications to increase your range, but nothing will work like changing the internal circuit, as well as changing the normal circuit already integrated, and or failing that, change the entire circuit, since there is no point in changing the modem elements, because on the one hand they are old designs, all 45 years old from the 70s mostly, in their designs, and the radio from M and CD. Nowadays they have better mixers, but even so the bone CB radio band is more controlled and practically exceeded cell it almost governed by so many elements, not only because it is old, and thus avoid government interference between cities in the 70s and 2 decades before, and the latest major modifications, especially those of good laptops that could reach a mile, and contrary wings of the 90s in their latest versions, and those of today only reach a kilometer away. From a transceiver to transceiver, Y6 has really damaged us a lot and created disappointments of it, and they only serve to go to the beach and talk and remember the old AM radio with melancholy. But by varying its elements we can improve it. And in reception they only pick up amplifiers from afar and leave us listening to Madamus. And that is that the radios from before the transmitters or transceivers were displaced by another FM radio of VHF that exceeded those of 11 meters bone wings of LBM of 27 MHz, and that was that they only transmitted in M and apart. They did not get to have LSB and USB or SSB sideband in their modes, all except a few mobiles and laptops that were out of budgets for civilians of alternate transmission, and very few were manufactured and they did not become important. On the other hand, when the VHF and the UHF came out, They displaced them, and when the cell phones came out in 1990, they stopped selling a very high percentage, and even more when the internet came out. Or even disappointing compared to the mobiles that did reach about 10 to 20 kilometers or so. And to see how we can modify those problems and have fun in the experimentation of amateur radio, we will give you some diagrams of how we change such a radio. In the next videos we will provide you with the most practical methods, but you have to advise HF diagrams, transceivers or HF transceiver kits, and thus pass it to web programs and design it new. For electronics, there are several in the market at low prices, and then assemble in the electronic parts on the cards, whether they are made of copper, acid brine or from the factory. We recommend doing both to learn. If you have time, on the other hand, they can achieve. Order the cards to various companies that are dedicated to that and come to the comfort of your home to PCB companies. Print electronics cards assembly. PCBA manufacturing Tanbian for acid sweep. Advise tutorials from Hoy to make a printed circuit board PCB at home. Remember that they will have to design either with existing diagrams or copying them from diagrams to the public, or, failing that, if you understand more electronics as you design them, they will be fine in electronic diagram design programs such as Livewire and Wizard, and then it is needed, once creating them with acid cleaning or ordering them from PCB companies, you need to solder the transistors very carefully, and then once assembled on the cards, they will be in position to take them to accommodate the radius. To modify your CB, which you must have removed all electronic parts, since this method is to change the entire circuit, and so the other methods will be explained in future videos. In this case, this way they remain, and in this radio the squelch was used as a VFO frequency tuner of 7150 MHz, and so it is tuned, but you can put other buttons and get to create better models than this radio, which is of a range of 25 miles and with good conditions, 100 miles guaranteed, and with a power of 10 watts. Even so, the models of circuit can be improved and implanted other circuits of more watts and more frequency, including a multiband of 7, 14 and 27 MHz. Well, we hope you liked it.
If I can get a two-element antenna together, that would be the cat's meow for me. That would be just awesome. Anyway, my friends, that's the 73 to you, and thank you again for breaking in, and I'll look for you here soon. I'd like to see them. It seems to be a good time of day over here. It seems to be dust.
I'm sorry, I'm missing this.
Well, with this demonstration finished our video, and we wish you the best, and we hope you liked it. Our modified radios at 40 meters at that power, and now they can be arranged like this, and even more experimentally to learn radio and fun. On the other hand, our authors have very good books, such as these radios, on how the nuclear war was stopped, and it's a lot in with the advice from a very young age, and also has books on modern astronomy that catalogs special time and tells us where the future is located and where is the past with respect to the present, physically speaking. and it gives us a step further on in modern astronomy that they will like, and also explains to us what the temporal event will be like, which will take us on sidereal trips to the stars by alternate dimensions without obstacles, since it clearly exposes them for the best understanding. And they can get their books in the best bookstores as it appears and is advertised here, at the addresses, or failing that they can access the book in the best libraries, with putting John C. Robles X99, and also, real time, in Google Books the same.